Welcome to the Crazy J Podcast Show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is your main man, aka Crazy Crockett, aka Andre's podcast. I like to thank RSS.com. I like to thank YouTube, Patreon. That's where you guys can find me on the more visual side. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube or anywhere that you can download your podcast. I like to thank everyone out there that's listening to my podcast. It's just growing steadily, but I'm not advertising as much. I'm still learning the curves and all this good stuff. Today, folks, we're going to talk about a little bit about sportsmanship. I just saw a video on this guy at the Philadelphia Green Bay Packer game, and he was scolding and yelling and at Green Bay Packer fans the whole game, and this guy gets fired from his job. Why am I going to talk about this? Because I think the real issue that you have with a lot of these people is that they're a bunch of losers. And it doesn't matter if you're a Philadelphia fan or a Yankee fan, or it doesn't matter what team it is. If you're that guy that walks around and goes to games and then you bicker at the opponent's fan base the whole time, you're a bit of a loser. And you should really question yourself of why you care so much about your team winning or losing. And you should also ask yourself, why do you have the need to pick on people who are the opponent's team, fan base? There's no reason. I think that people who put so much time in their favorite teams don't have much to live for, or they don't have anything to live for. They, in my point of view, probably are very self-centered, don't have family members that appreciate them or have some sort of empathy for other teams, other players, other members of their own, even in their own family. And I really want to know, why is it with the Philadelphia Eagle fans and Yankee fans that they have to be that kind of a prick? I mean, let's get it real. Yes, I get it. Philadelphia has never won a Super Bowl up to like 6 years ago. And your team kept stinking and smelly and all that, just like Detroit Lions fans. But you know what's different between Detroit and Philly and New York and other teams like that? Even Boston fans are kind of a-holes too. So I'm not just picking on the East Coast by where New York and Philly, but yeah, and we did have the Detroit Bad Boys, and we did have that chaos between the Indiana Pacers and Ben Wallace and Ron Durant. I forget, World Peace guy. But that's an incident, and yes, we did have a Detroit Bad Boys. But I feel like sometimes you just have to chill out. There's got to be more to life than your sports teams or your kids' teams or anything to do with anything that's not a big deal. I mean, there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that you can do that will tell people that your team is better than my team or the other person's team, because those guys aren't playing for you. Those guys they're playing for themselves, and they're playing for other people who are paying them to play that sport. So when you're a fan base and you care a bit too much, you might want to step back a little bit and kind of realize that it's just a game. And I love the Detroit Lions, I love the Red Wings, I love the Pistons. And when I was a little kid, I get all wrapped around about the Detroit Pistons against the Chicago Bulls or the Boston Celtics. And the 1984 World Series when we won, that was great. We lost to San Francisco in 2012, I think it was 12 that we lost to the Giants with Verlander and Scherzer. And but life keeps moving on. And I just think that, again, fan base needs to chill out. That guy did get reprimanded, that guy from Philly, a fan base from Philly that was yelling at the couple or the people who were Green Bay Packer fans. He lost his job, and he has every right to lose his job. It's a good lesson to be taught. You can't just keep ramping on and on and on. A lot of times, there's an underlying struggle with that person that's why you care so much. And, some people may think that, well, you had the Detroit Bad Boys, you guys are so sour and so mean and all that. But the era of the NBA was based on that. L.A. Lakers, Boston Celtics, Detroit, Milwaukee Bucks back in the day. They used to slaughter Michael Jordan back in the day, Dr. J back in the day. They used to pound him too. So the NBA changed to what it is now. So I'm going to move on to the NBA. There's a couple people I'm going to talk about. Zion Williamson and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wants to trade. Pat Riley won't give him the trade from the Miami Heat. I think this is a great thing. I think this is a great thing for Pat Riley. I don't think you should trade him. I think you should keep him there. I think that Jimmy Butler and these other NBA players are a bit of a sourpuss, and they're a bunch of babies. You have to realize that if you're an NBA player or any professional athlete, you only have about 7, 8, 10 years. If you're Jimmy Butler and Zion Williamson, or Kevin Durant, or anybody that's out there besides LeBron James, but you only have about 7, 8 years. Especially in the NFL, you may only have 4 years. But these contracts, even with baseball, these contracts are ridiculous. 13 years, Ohtani got 10 years. I talked about Juan Soto, 14, 15 years contract for 965 million, something like that. And it's just like, why? Why would you sign that guy that long? It's not even worth the money to keep a guy that's not even going to be happy in 5 years. Jimmy Butler is a good example of some guy that's never going to be happy. And there's an underline behind that too. I think Jimmy Butler has more issues off the court than he has on the court. I think his identity is being challenged not as an NBA player, but as a person. There's more to it, to the story. And we all know that at one point of his life, he was abandoned by his mother. And that kind of probably keeps it recurring in his brain over and over again. You can never run away from that. You'll never run away from that. And I tell you why. Because I was abandoned by my own mother. I really was. As an infant or a 2 or 3 year old, I was left in an apartment, in a box, and my neighbors heard me cry and scream and all that. And from that point on, I was abandoned. But that always keeps coming back into your brain cell. Now, for me, it's a little different. I'm not famous. I'm just a YouTuber, podcaster, very limited to that. But I can tell you this, I probably should not be going to job and not talk about what's really the issue, okay? So I kind of feel bad for Jimmy Butler. But these other players, there's a lot of things going on. They're just not NBA players. They're athletes who are just good athletes. They're guys and girls that play sports for a living, and they have a lot of things going on at home. And sports doesn't fix everything. Playing the game doesn't fix everything. It's a temporary distraction for the players for 2.5 hours during the game and probably 6-7 hours per practice or something. So I think that there needs to be more of a reality of the game of the situation, maybe these guys don't want to play anymore. Maybe even Embiid, Joel Embiid for the 76ers. He didn't want to play all those games and he sat himself out. And I think these players are getting smarter. I said this before, I think they are getting smarter. They just understand they don't need to be playing every single game. They don't need to be entertaining people who can't play the game as good as they can. And there's more to life outside of basketball. Now, some of these guys, that's all they're gonna amount to be. They're not gonna be business folks. So they're going to stack up their cash as much as possible and live off that and not do anything. Supposedly. I'm not a professional athlete, but I guess based on that 30 to 30, a lot of these players go broke. But again, you don't have to give your money away to your friends because you're a rich guy. Your money is not their money, it's your money. So we're moving on from there to this new tournament that the PGA and Tiger Woods and Roy McIlroy created. It's Tomorrow Golf League, T.G.L. I watched a little bit of it. It's a simulation of a golf on a screen, and you hit the ball based on how well you hit the ball or how far you swing or how hard you swing and how far the ball goes. It's where the ball lands in that simulation. There's a lot of more simulations coming up and around within the cities and towns and neighborhoods. I got at least 3 simulation golf courses within driving distance of my apartment. I got one in Granville, I got one in Kentwood, and one in downtown GR. And it's, you know what, I wish I could play golf. I wish I was a better player. And it's a lot of fun. I think people should really try it. It's a good way to keep golfing during the off season, and it's kind of the PGA Tour's way of keeping people occupied during the off season, and it's also a good way to promote tomorrow's way of golfing. I think someday, you know, a lot of these golf courses are being closed up because of property that are going up quicker and faster, and then their land is being used for new apartments or new houses, developments. And the city of Wyoming saved this golf course called the Pines Golf Course. It's a public golf course. It's relatively short, some long drives, but it's not really that long at all. It's right in the middle of Wyoming, and people saved it. They didn't want more houses. They didn't want more apartments. They didn't want more traffic down that street. That street's pretty busy at certain times of the day, of the week. And people really didn't want nothing to do with another development. And they saved the golf course. I think that's awesome. I think that if you can encourage people to play outside, to participate outside, to go and do something besides looking at your tablet, play an artificial game at home on your tablet. I got this golf game, WGT golf game on my iPad, and I love it. So, but I think that's good. I think that's great that we saved a golf course from going down. So Tiger Woods is part of this T.G.L. I was a little annoyed by Charlie Woods, Tiger Woods' son. He over dramatic and trying to be cute and all that. No, I don't need to see Charlie Woods anywhere with Tiger Woods playing golf. It's annoying. I think it's annoying. I don't remember seeing Jack Nicklaus with his kids out there playing and being cute and my dad missed the ball. He hit it in the water. I mean, come on. It's so childish. If there's one thing I think that the PGA Tour should have done for the TGIL. I think they should have DeChambeau or Scheffler in the tournament. Or I think they should have had a premiere of them both being there because the face of tomorrow golf is not Tiger Woods. The only reason why you have Tiger Woods there because everyone seems to love Tiger Woods. But he can't play golf anymore. He can't walk up and down 18 holes, which is probably great for him to create a league with simulation golf where he doesn't have to run and walk and walk and walk 18 holes 4 days in a row. Brilliant. I think it's brilliant. Brilliant. My last thing I want to talk about is Minnesota Vikings and the Rams. Sam Darnold. I got to talk about Sam Darnold. I got to talk about the Vikings. They lost to Detroit the last game of the season. Detroit's going to play against Washington Commanders, which should be the Redskins, by the way. Should be the Redskins. No tendon of politically incorrectness. The incorrectness is call them the Commanders. So we all should change that name back to the Redskins. You can't eliminate a human race, a Homo sapien race, from the face of the planet because you got ignorant white people that think that that's racial. That's stupid. So that's my take about the Commanders or the Redskins. But Detroit's got to play. I think Detroit will win. I think their defense is better. I think their offense is better. I think if they stick to Daniels staying in the pocket, you'll be all right. Give him a little bit of pressure, keep him in the pocket, you'll be good. And I really think that the Detroit Lions should sometimes blitz. You can't always play that coverage defense and just allow the teams to go gain yards, 4 or 5 yards, third down and first downs and second downs and another first down, and then you play tight defense when the opponent is on the 30-yard line. That to me is a bit stupid. I think most teams are doing that now, but I think that's dumb because it's automatically yards for teams. I mean, if you need to play position, I mean, play where the ball is. You need to play based on the position of the football. So if you can stop Washington from moving the ball downfield and make them punt the ball, you'd be better. You have better field position for a shorter field to score a touchdown or a field goal. Dan Campbell won't ever go for a field goal, so you probably go on fourth down. So, but you have to play position about the position of where the ball is going to be. So stop being so scared of playing defense. And if they beat you a couple times, if you can score 40 points and they score 35, what does it matter? You still got a better offense. If you're playing Dan Campbell's theory about going on fourth down and scoring touchdowns, then why are you so scared about playing aggressive defense? That's something to think about. Again, playoffs a little different, play more conservative, but don't allow the other team just move the ball downfield. Going back to the Vikings, Sam Darnold, his net profit or gross profit has shrunk down because of his inability to feel pressure in the pocket and get rid of the ball, or to call audibles and to get his receivers to recognize that the blitz is coming. Now, I do think that there are a couple times that Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson, they should have been able to read the defense, and T.J. Hawkinson should have been able to cut his route knowing where the blitz is coming. Now, some people are like, well, how are they going to know? Well, you're in the playoffs. If you're in the playoffs and you know somewhat of the personnel and what kind of defense your opponent's going to bring to you or bring on you, you should probably help your quarterback. Sam Darnold's career in the Viking land is probably going to be the backup quarterback Do I think he's going to go anywhere after that performance against the Rams in Detroit? I don't think so, because those two games against the Rams and Detroit, there were finally teams that were better or just as good of the Vikings. So I think Sam Darnold, I think you'll be lucky to get at least a 2-year contract or another year contract with the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy coming in as the backup quarterback. I really think that if you keep your job with Minnesota, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Dallas Cowboys got rid of their coach. I got to talk about that. Deion Sanders has been talking to Dallas. Jerry Jones. Do I think that may happen? I think it could happen. I think it'd be probably the next step for Deion Sanders. I don't think he wants to stay in Colorado. I think his whole goal was getting to the NFL, and he proved it. Now, having him there in Dallas Wonderland, you're going to get his point of view. You're going to get his showboat attitude. Does that mean that Dak Prescott's career will come to the short if Deion Sanders is there? I think so. If Deion Sanders shows up and gets a job in Dallas, Dak Prescott will be gone within a year or 2 years. I don't think he'll be there. Too soft. Too soft for Deion Sanders. Not tough enough. That's one thing I think about Dak Prescott. Not tough enough. So there you have it, folks. Made a little short film, little 20-minute podcast. I hope everyone else has a good time. And peace, love, and thank you for listening to Crazy Dre Podcast Show. And happiness.